Tag TV and Tag Radio be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Innovations seem to be coming at you so quickly anymore that they really aren't much of a surprise, but every now and again they can be amazing. Try this. You can't manage what you can't see, right? Virtual infrastructures, a blessing in the dividends with successful efforts to dramatically improve utilization levels and infrastructure flexibility, improving performance without adding staff. A curse with the new critical challenges of managing something that has no tangible existence. Greetings, everyone, and Happy New Year. It's Tuesday, January 4th, 2011, and this is the New Year's first edition of Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. We begin our exploration into next-generation innovation focused on, well, something that has no real existence, virtual infrastructure, quickly becoming both more prevalent and more complex. Management, segmentation, security, infrastructure discovery, mapping, and change control through a scalable, multi-tiered application easily deployed into your virtual environment using purpose-built virtual appliances. Okay, the big question, what are we talking about? Philosophers describe it as the moment of non-existence before existence. Preston Futrell, president and CEO of Reflex Systems, calls it just another day at the office of tomorrow and beyond. Reflex Systems helps organizations accelerate the adoption of virtualized data centers, enabling their clients to align virtualization initiatives with overall business objectives. The recognized leader in virtualization management, Reflex was founded right here in Atlanta in 2000. Preston, a former vice president of sales and business development at the company, now leads Reflex into the future. A prior sales executive for IBM Internet Security System, Preston managed strategic outsourcing and professional services for ISS for North and Latin America. Influential in the growth of ISS in the last decade, Preston played a key role in the integration of ISS sales organization into IBM after the acquisition in 2006. Comprehensive, purpose-built virtualization systems management. You need to know about this, and Tino explores it all with one of the industry's top executives as he tech talks virtualization with Reflex Systems President and CEO Preston Futrell.
Preston, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk today.
Thanks for having me, Tino.
Well, your company has a lot of experience in virtualization, and this is something that has been a hot topic now for the last few years. Seems to be gaining momentum, and I'd like you to confirm if it actually is. And so, if it is, what's driving the adoption and in the enterprise?
Yeah, it certainly is picking up momentum. It's been an interesting last couple of years in this space. I think the main things that we see today that are driving the adoption is, clearly the economic conditions over the last couple of years have contributed to, people looking harder at virtualization for the cost savings, lack of physical space and resources, and certainly strained budgets have been some of the bigger contributors to the adoption over the last 2 years especially. I think probably some of the others have really been the promise of flexibility, scale, the efficiency has really been a big one. So, being able to reduce the amount of physical systems, the mobility and using multiple data center applications, hosting centers and things like that to really get out of virtualization what people really promised. And then probably the last one is the number of tools and other technologies that have enabled people to manage these systems a little more efficiently. And as companies have gotten kind of beyond what we would call the low-hanging fruit of virtualization, so test, development systems, web systems, file and print type of things, and really getting to true production business critical applications has really driven a lot of this adoption over the last couple of years, and people just wouldn't do that until there were an adequate amount of technology out there to help them manage it and control it properly. And I think that's what we're seeing the most of these days.
You've already touched on this, but the economy, I'm sure, is playing a major role in people looking for that ROI. Are companies today facing some different challenges, and what would you say the top 3 challenges would be for companies in respect to leveraging that virtualization?
Yeah, I think number one, the challenge has been visibility. And when you think about the way virtualization has changed the systems management process, and traditionally in the physical IT world, you have all these different siloed organizations that control different parts of the IT infrastructure. And with the way virtualization works, you now have a centralized location where all different components of IT are touched by a single set of administrators, which is really not the way people are used to it. So, it's a lot of this has to be, it's just the mentality of getting past the physical systems way of doing things and moving to the virtual way of doing things. And that has been probably the biggest challenge because of the lack of visibility that the other siloed areas of IT have traditionally been used to it. And when you have, right now, when you look at the people who are responsible for virtualization and what we kind of have dubbed this virtualization administrator, which is a new role in IT over the last few years, they're now kind of the center of the universe, right? They're ex-Windows administrators, server administrators who started out with virtualization as a pet project in small numbers and now has certainly become an increasingly important part of the infrastructure. But giving visibility and the capability to understand what's going on in that infrastructure to all the different areas of IT has been one of the biggest problems, and certainly one of the biggest challenges that people have faced is how do I make everybody else comfortable that this infrastructure works just as good as the physical did when I can't see the blinking lights or touch my physical server that runs my application. And right along with that, comes performance. Everybody always wants to, just as we did back in the security world, which I'm sure most of your listeners will appreciate, if there was a problem with the network, the first place you pointed the finger was always the firewall. Something wrong with the firewall. Well, in this case, it's always something to do with the virtual infrastructure. My application's working fine. It's got to be something with the virtual infrastructure. So performance concerns have been a really big problem as well, and giving customers a way to not only monitor those performance issues, but also, kind of the phrase we tend to use is mean time to innocence. How do I prove the quickest that it's not a problem with the virtual infrastructure, it's a problem with the application, or it's a problem with the network downstream. Things like that has really been a big problem, and those are things that people are really starting to overcome.
So the companies, and I guess led by the CIOs and the CTOs, are embracing this more. There seems to be a track record now, I would think, that companies can point to, and you've probably ironed out a number of the kinks over the last few years, I would imagine, as well. So maybe you can address that, but also talk about how Reflex plays into this whole space.
Sure. Yeah, I think we have certainly seen in the large enterprises especially who have really adopted virtualization in more mature ways, meaning they were some of the first to move to true production systems. They're using it with large shared storage environments and things that allow them to leverage virtualization for all the key benefits, that VMware and others have been promising, from the very beginning. And, that in and of itself has created some challenges. It's certainly alleviated a few challenges in the sense that you can get more out of it than you ever could before. So consolidation of systems, the ratios are getting better as the infrastructure gets more efficient in using those resources. Used to be 6 to 8 VMs per piece of hardware. Now, especially in the virtual desktop space, we're seeing customers get as many as 48 to 50 virtual machines per physical piece of hardware, depending upon the type of hardware and the type of virtual machines you're trying to use. So, those challenges have certainly been addressed by VMware and others. The challenges we tend to see more of now is the larger enterprises are trying to understand, how do I efficiently manage this infrastructure? It's such a key component now. How do I without ruining the promise of virtualization from a cost perspective, how do I get the right level of technology in to manage efficiently, reduce the number of needed administrators per virtual machine? So, for instance, VMware's kind of default answer is one administrator for every 250 virtual machines. Our goal here is we think that today we can reduce that number to one administrator for every 1,000 virtual machines, and certainly have an opportunity to go a lot farther as we continue to advance. So, our primary challenge we're trying to address is efficient, long-term management of the virtual infrastructure by creating an integrated approach. And, right now, the problem that people are trying to avoid is I don't want to have 6 or 7 different software tools to manage 6 or 7 different types of functionality in the virtual environment. I virtualize in order to save money, reduce complexity, and be able to be more efficient. And if I start to add a bunch of management tools on top of that, I've then given away all of the gains that I got by virtualizing in the first place. So, our approach is integrate as many of these functions as possible by bringing in security, monitoring, configuration management, and other types of challenges that we can solve in an integrated platform with a single product for an administrator to use instead of having to leverage 5 or 6 different ones to solve those problems. And this has really been a good formula for us. I think it's possible for the first time. In the physical world, it wasn't really possible to do that. In the virtual environment, it's absolutely possible to do it. And starting from scratch and kind of purpose building your platform to solve virtualization-specific problems has given us a real advantage in this area.
Can you point to an example that would the company that you've worked with and the kind of solution you provided them and what kind of results they've achieved from your program?
Sure. Yeah, there are a couple, and especially there's a good local example here, a company called MedQuist. They're in the medical transcription business, so they're one of the leading providers of the technology that's used for transcribing medical records for hospitals and other healthcare facilities, and they're a pretty advanced user of virtualization and have been for a number of years now, and they were really looking to provide a better level of granular visibility and segmentation, so being able to understand all the changes that are going on in the environment at any point in time, and then be able to properly segment the virtual machines in the environment for compliance purposes, for audit purposes, but primarily being able to do that single pane of glass with one product that tracks all of that and then allows them, in software using virtualization feature sets to provide that level of segmentation and control and visibility into the environment. And they looked at the entire marketplace, and their approach has been, and their comment about Reflex has been, we were the most holistic, broad-based approach that gave them the level of integration into the virtual environment they were looking for, as well as the most level of granular access and information about what's going on in there. So, and that's a good example locally. We've got another more interesting example from the standpoint of what's topical these days, and that's cloud computing. And Savvis, who's one of the largest hosting providers in the world, is actually using the Reflex product today to provide all of the segmentation or firewalling, if you will, in their public cloud environment. So, we're providing all of the control and segmentation between the different tenants within their cloud environment, and this gives them a tremendous amount of flexibility and scale in the sense that it's completely integrated into the hypervisor. There are no additional physical equipment requirements for providing this segmentation. It's all done in software controlled through their orchestration system that they use in the environment already. So very integratable, gives them a lot of flexibility and a lot of scale. And then the last example I can give you that's another good one and a little bit different is one of the largest banks in the world that actually just recently acquired the technology got it strictly for the purpose of managing audit and compliance requirements around the configurations of the different components of the virtual infrastructure. So, they've got 1,200 hosts, about 22,000 virtual machines, and they'll be using Reflex to manage the configurations of every single one of those objects across time in a large global virtual infrastructure. So lots of different use cases for the product, and those are 3 pretty good examples.
Those are great examples. So I've got time for one more question for you, and I'll ask you to put the crystal ball on and look beyond Reflex, but actually the industry. And Tell our listeners, what do you see happening in the virtualization market in 2011?
Well, I think that, first of all, I think the adoption is going to continue to accelerate. So I think companies are just getting a tremendous amount of benefit today from virtualizing. The adoption of cloud computing certainly is going to be driven by this, and we see a lot of activity today. Most of our customers are looking at cloud offerings as a real viable option for their business. They're not. I don't think we'll see a lot of complete outsourcing to the cloud, but certainly some very specific pointed use cases where it's going to make a lot of sense for these guys, public and private. And then, I think the manageability issues will continue to grow as things are going to get a lot more complex. There's a lot of options out there. And if you look at the market data, and certainly VMware has seen this, and you can see it from their portfolio, is most of the money spent over the next couple of years in the virtualization space is going to be on management processes, management technologies, and services over that course of time. So, that certainly drives a lot of activity in the marketplace, and that leads to one of the other things that I think is going to continue to happen. And we've already seen a certain amount of consolidation start to take place in this market. And you look at the large management providers, enterprise systems management players, HP, IBM, CA, BMC, these guys already beginning to take steps in this direction, some by building and partnering, others by acquiring. I think we'll continue to see a fair amount of consolidation in that space as the large players start to figure out what the customer needs really are in this area.
Well, Preston, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk. Congratulations on the progress Reflex Systems is making, and let's all look forward to a strong and prosperous 2011.
I appreciate it, Tino. Thank you for the time.